From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, INEC chairman says attacks on facilities must stop ahead of 2023 elections. 2 female anti-thuggery operatives attacked in Gusau. Court stops confirmation of NDDC chairman Loretta Onoche and managing director. And on the foreign scene, 5 traditional leaders sentenced to jail in Liberia. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Now, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, says most attacks carried out on the Commission's facilities across the country have nothing to do with the 2023 elections. Professor Yakubu made the remark in an investigative hearing organized by the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee set up to investigate the attacks on offices and facilities of INEC across the country. According to the INEC boss, most of the attacks occur because the facilities are soft targets located in remote areas that are difficult to secure by the nation's overstretched security agencies. The chairman said from 2019 to date, 50 INEC facilities have been attacked and materials destroyed. Professor Yakubu urged the National Assembly to categorize INEC facilities as high security facilities. In his opening remarks, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, who was represented by Leke Abejide, said the investigation was precipitated by a motion brought before the House on the need to condemn the attacks on offices and facilities of the Independent National Electoral Commission. He said the House had noted the frequent systematic attacks on the personnel, offices and facilities of INEC, which are presumably targeted at crippling the Commission and scuttling the 2023 elections.
We have 36 states and 15 states are challenged. It is very easy if they want to do this thing to help INEC to focus more attention on these critical areas. I believe those areas that we have 1 cases is something they can easily capture. But this Imo State, Osun State, Akwa Ibom, we need to look at this area critically. I'm talking directly to the security forces now. That there's a need to pay more attention and deploy military and the police and other forces to this area.
I think we are going to continue to approach it from the 2 angles of candidates as well as the political parties. In any case, some of the candidates are also chairmen of their political parties. So when you invite them, you're inviting both the institution and the candidate. The second one is thank you for your contribution. You say that the security agents are overstretched. I have said so. And then I also appeal to communities and traditional and religious leaders and others to see INEC facilities as national assets, and they should all contribute towards protecting these facilities instead of leaving this to the security agencies alone.
Now, suspected political thugs have attacked 2 female operatives of the Zamfara State Anti-Thuggery Committee with dangerous weapons, leaving them with various degrees of injuries at a political rally in the Gusau metropolis. The suspected political thugs defied the Zamfara State government ban on carrying dangerous weapons during political campaigns in the state, a development that led to the assault. The 2 female personnel are presently receiving treatment at the Yerimon Bokore Specialist in Gusau. The commander of the Anti-Thuggery Committee, Bello Bakiaswa, said his operatives have succeeded in arresting 10 suspected political thugs who carried out the dastardly act, including a secretary of one of the local government areas of the state.
We are standing on existing law, Executive Order number 2 of Zamfara State, law number 2, that give us the mandate to fight any act of thuggery, armed thuggery, drug-related offences, and any other criminals-related offence. On the course of our duty, today there was a 1 million man march in support of His Excellency Dr. Bello Matole Maradun, which was organized by youth organizing committee of his campaign council, we have decided to monitor the rally to see if they have complied with the existing order of our committee.
Meanwhile, the Bauchi State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has declared as null and void the unlawful suspension of the immediate past governor of the state, Muhammad Abdullahi Abubakar, from the party. The party disclosed this in a statement signed by its publicity secretary, Adamu Aliu Jalla, on Friday in Bauchi. Abubakar was suspended by the APC executives of the Makama Sarkimbaki ward for endorsing the second-term bid of the present PDP-led Bauchi State Governor, Bala Muhammad, during a dinner organized by the state government to honor him for attaining the rank of Senior Advocate of Nigeria. And still talking politics, former Senate President Bukola Saraki said non-performance of the All Progressives Congress, APC, was part of the reasons many of them left the party during the first tenure of President Muhammadu Buhari. Addressing members of the party at Mandate Hall of the party in Ilorin during the inauguration of the 850-man campaign council for the next election, Saraki charged members of the campaign to work towards reclaiming political power from the All Progressives Congress in the state. The report.
The PDP party leader laments how the All Progressive Congress has failed the country with non-performance and failed promises. He challenged party members to capture their individual polling units in all the 193 wards, saying they stood a chance of getting adequate rewards after the general elections. Former Kwara State Governor said people should vote for the party to ensure return of good old times of PDP without hardship.
Everybody has seen where Nigeria is today. I don't like to say we said so, because after a while, if you remember, yes, some of us asked us, yes, but we came with this government. But when we saw what they were doing, we said we cannot continue with you. And we told Nigerians then, this APC is not good for this country. But nobody listened to us in 2019. Now look at the hardship.
Also speaking, the chairman of the campaign council, Professor Ali Ahmed, said that the party had learnt its lesson and is prepared to take over political power in both the state and the country. The governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Abdullahi Haman Suaib, said it is time for Kwara to make sure that PDP takes over affairs of the country if we want a country that works for all.
Even a member of this campaign is big enough to be the gubernatorial candidate of another party. Inshallah. This is the reason I'm confident that this assignment that you have given to us, inshallah, we are going to deliver it. Inshallah. In 55 years of existence of this state, the total loan stock has been 59 billion. In just 3 years, they have shot this up to 114 billion as a date. 1.2 billion is being used to service loans in Kwara State. 1.2 billion.
The high point of the event is the inauguration of 850-man campaign council to ensure the victory for the party in the next general election.
Now, eligible voters in Jos, the Plateau State capital, have been trooping into the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to collect their permanent voter cards ahead of the next year's general elections. Now, the voters who are eager to collect their PVCs said they are committed to electing credible leaders that will represent them in various capacities. The report.
The Electoral Empire had on Monday commenced the distribution of the PVCs nationwide to enable eligible voters cast their vote in the 2023 elections. According to the voters, it was high time the country had credible leaders, as against past elections where such efforts were thwarted by those who enjoy the status quo. Some residents in Jos North local government area speak to Trust TV on the collection process.
It's not easy to collect it because I ordered for transfer, and today I come to collect the card. But since I come, I follow line. Through some beat me, and I follow the line. I suffer before I get it. But my happiness this morning that at last I get the card.
Well, it is important because the election of officials to manage the affairs of government is very, very important to us as citizens. And so I feel at this age, it is my responsibility to play my cards.
This thing is very, very important to me because I want to select the presence that on my choice that I want to guide us in Nigeria today.
When contacted, the electoral officer, Josno local government area, Fred Oboji, said although many were yet to collect the cards, a good number of eligible voters had collected theirs. The electoral officer, however, called on those who are yet to collect theirs to do, as voting during election will only be possible through the PVCs. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Now, stakeholders in Guyuk local government area of Adamawa State have reiterated their commitment to end the farmer-herder conflict and other communal crises facing the area, especially the frequent crises among Lunguda and Waja people. Now, conflict between the two communities that live across the borders of Adamawa and Gombe states usually spill across both states and often results in deaths, while some residents will end up in camps as internally displaced persons. Silas Lawan has the report.
It will be recalled in May 2021 last year, the governors of Adamawa and Gombe states convened a joint security meeting with leaders of the affected communities and heads of security agencies in a joint effort to curtail the perennial crisis between the two communities. Stakeholders there said they are working relentlessly to avoid a reoccurrence of the incident through engagement in alternative dispute resolution.
We will not take this campaign lightly. We are going to amplify it to our Lunguda Waja communities, as well as farmers and herders. Our outreach will also include churches and mosques. Communal clashes have reversed development in our settlement in many areas.
We are strengthening already existing mechanism in the community to handle alternative dispute resolution in various communities. On this training, we expect to see changes instead of going face-to-face or let me say fist-to-fist solving conflict. We would like to see a roundtable discussion where at the end of the day both parties go home happily instead of one party going home happy and the other going on home unhappy.
They therefore call on the traditional and community leaders, as well as the entire people of the area, to cooperate with the government and security agencies to ensure safety and security in their communities.
We need to enlighten people. We need to educate them to know there are other measures. We must not resort into violence. We must not resort into court litigations at all times. There are measures that have been put in place from time immemorial regarding disputes, and we should try and employ these measures to see that we live in peace and harmony, or at least to minimize litigation.
Zaman lafiya ta kasance, saboda haka gaskiya da tun da.
This sensitization and interaction between communities should have been started long ago. We would have get rid of challenges of insecurity. We appreciate your effort, and as leaders, we promise to extend this campaign of peace to our communities.
Despite the crisis, indigenes of Lunguda and Waja enjoyed age-long historical relationships covering critical areas like intermarriages, cultural heritage, and social ceremonies. From Yola, Silas Lawan, Trust TV News.
Now, security agencies have been told to form a strong synergy in order to tackle the security challenges in the country ahead of the 2023 elections and beyond. The call was made during the 4th Quarterly Conference of State Directors of Security in the Northwest Zone, holding in Gusau, where a traditional ruler and chairman, Zamfara State Council of Traditional Rulers, observed that lack of synergy among security agencies is promoting the insecurity in the country. The report.
It was the 4th Quarterly Conference of State Directors of Security in the Northwest of Nigeria. It is to rub minds on how to combat the security challenges in the zone and the country at large. Issues of kidnapping, killing, animal rustling, imposition of illegal levies, presence of Boko Haram terrorists and Islamic State of West Africa Province (ISWAP) among others dominated discussion. The State Directors of Security assured Nigerians that the service remains committed in its effort towards ensuring security of lives and property in the state.
Through deliberations and experience shared, to identify proper solutions to the common multifaceted security challenges bedeviling the Northwest region, which are unfolding in the form of kidnapping, animal rustling, armed robbery, senseless killing, sexual assault of women, imposition of illegal levy, destruction of unharvested crops, as well as political thuggery.
Chairman, Zamfara State Council of Chiefs, Attahiru Ahmed, wants the Nigerian Armed Forces to work together in carrying out operations which will help greatly in protecting the people from the terrorist attacks.
As far as I'm concerned, by virtue of my training, the banditry has been allowed to reach the level where it is to be. When it started, police could have handled it. Police could have handled it. But surprisingly, the issue is not. Most of the bandit leaders used to be just surrender boys of bandit leaders. But everyone that is able to get even 2 AK-47 now to be a bandit leader.
The Deputy Governor of Zamfara State, Senator Hassan Nasiha, commended the security agencies for their efforts to restore peace and security in the state, pledging the state government maximum support to enable them succeed to wipe out the terrorists.
Is to enable stakeholders to brainstorm on common security challenges and efforts of the member states in containing threats with a view to developing joint strategies for addressing the issue. I was so happy by the way and manner the Emir has said the issue of synergy and strategies are very important. So I'm sure this is one of the aims of this meeting today. I want to commend the organizer of this conference for holding this event in Zamfara State.
Zamfara State has been witnessing incessant attacks by the suspected terrorists, especially in rural communities. It is the expectation of residents that this conference will fashion out far-reaching recommendations which will help to bring an end to the security challenges in the Northwest Zone.
Now, the resumption of train services on the Abuja-Kaduna route last month was greeted with excitement and jubilation. But the recent crushing of a car owner to death is raising fears and safety concerns. In this report, Noel Sampson gets reactions after a recent accident on the train route.
The accident happened around Chikakore axis of Kuba in the Federal Capital Territory. One Salimota Idowu Suleiman that works with NTA was crushed to death inside her car by a moving train. According to eyewitness, the accident happened in the morning, which later resulted to the death of the victim a few minutes after the incident.
I was about leaving when we heard the train sound. When I heard the train sound, two cars were coming, 2 black cars were crossing the railway. So, and meanwhile, the horn wasn't too far from there. He said, the train is closed, and these 2 cars. The first one managed to pass, while the second black car was behind the first black car. Maybe she was thinking, if this one passed, I'll just follow her and pass. So, unluckily for her, she just hanged. She was magneted. The car was magneted. She couldn't move. she wanted to pull her seatbelt, and the seatbelt refused to pull off. She opened the car. Immediately she opened the car, the train carried her.
Members of the family of the victim and her friends declined comments on the incident, saying they are still in shock and not ready to speak to the camera. Some of the community members pleaded with the government to ensure safety of people along the route.
Very well. I think the government can do a short-term plan by putting up a barricade in the community before the rail track, so that such occurrences might not come up easily, because I think this is about the 5th or 6th time we've been seeing such bad and ugly incidents in the community. We don't have an overhead bridge here, as you can see, and the traffic coming out and in and out of this community has high risk. At most times you see cars breaking down on the rail track. As you can see, it's dangerous. People are just passing, going by. You see, this railway as in busy road, railway road. Railway are going as in, if not for this stop, there was a time the as in railway business stopped. If not, there will be busy. How can you imagine road, car passing? It's dangerous. They should come as fast as possible. This is the second time this year. So government should try as much as possible. They should do this overhead bridge.
The railway authorities have not yet spoken on the incident. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
A group, Al-Haqqu Human Rights and Social Justice Organization, says it will appeal the judgment of a Sharia court that sentenced Islamic cleric Abdul Jabbar Kabara to death by hanging over blasphemy. Addressing newsmen in Kano on Friday, chairman of the group, Saeed bin Uthman, stated that the group has held several meetings with the cleric's family and his close associates on the matter, adding that based on the outcome of the meetings, the group has resolved to appeal the judgment to ensure justice is served. Uthman explained that the group is not satisfied with the judgment, as the cleric was deprived of his human rights as a citizen. Meanwhile, a Kaduna State High Court has adjourned sitting in a suit seeking removal of the Emir of Zazzau, Ahmad Bamali, from office. One of the Zazzau kingmakers who participated in the selection of the 19th Emir of Zazzau has dragged Governor Nasir El-Rufai and 13 others over the matter. Bamali, who is the former Nigerian ambassador to Thailand, was appointed the 19th Emir of Zazzau on Wednesday, 7th October 2020, by the governor. Bella Musa reports.
Wazir Zazzau Ibrahim Mohammed Aminu, one of the kingmakers, approached the court seeking nullification of the appointment of Ahmed Nubamali as the Emir of Zazzau. Speaking to newsmen after the court session, counsel to the plaintiff, Rabiu Said, said his client is challenging the qualification of Emir Bamali and wants his appointment nullified and the Emir removed from office.
We have made prayers in the alternative. You know, Alhaji Jafaro is there, and there is also one other person in the alternative. So it depends on how the court looks at it and how the case goes. Yes, no, we have several prayers. I can't just say everything here. You understand? So I just told you the ones that, you know, mean.
Speaking about the inclusion of a deceased kingmaker among the respondents, Said said the inclusion of the late Limamin Kona among the respondents is not a problem, even though they are going to be taking the relevant steps to ensure his name is removed. Counsel to the Zazzau Emirate Council, who is the sixth defendant, Aminu Usman Bamali, said the case was adjourned because counsel to the plaintiff did not provide a proper address of his service to the respondents.
Today the matter is related to the information, and very unfortunately for them, they did not follow the due process of the court, which made the matter to be adjourned to 23rd day of February 2023. That is, ordinarily they're supposed to have provide address for service within jurisdiction, because the lawyer that filed the matter came from Abuja. The 10th defendant happens to be a deceased. Of course, he cannot be served, so they have to make an application for him to be replaced or his name to be struck out.
The presiding judge, Justice Isa Aliyu, adjourned the matter to 23 February next year to allow the plaintiff study and respond to the preliminary objections filed by some of the respondents. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has accused his predecessor, Adegboyega Oyetola, of borrowing 18 billion naira after losing the July 16 governorship election in the state. Adeleke told traditional rulers in the state that he met 331.32 billion naira debt, saying that he would probe Oyetola's administration and retrieve all missing funds. However, Oyetola said he did not borrow throughout his 4 years in office and that he left 14 billion naira in the coffers of the state. His media aide, Ismail Omipidon, said the claims by the new governor were a misrepresentation of facts.
Now, Oyetola must explain how the 331 billion borrowed in the name of Osun State was expended with no obvious infrastructural development to justify this huge debt.
We advised him that there are two sides to a story, there are two sides to a coin, that he shouldn't be distracted. He should focus on the positive side of his achievements. The governor that just left, Governor Oyetola, did his best in all ramifications.
Mr. Governor should never lose focus, irrespective of the distractions that are so obvious.
He has started well by consulting and also telling us what he has met on the ground. This is transparency. That is being accountable.
Still thus on Trust TV News Hour, still ahead. We'll tell you why it pays to park and pay. Details of this and more after the break. Stay with us.
The FCT administration has observed an increase in the influx of street beggars into the city and metropolis. When you give alms directly to street beggars, you encourage this unwholesome practice with its attendant risks to all. Remember, street begging remains banned in the FCT. Residents are encouraged to channel their alms through recognized channels as the churches, mosques and orphanages. A better approach which still guarantees the reward of your kind gesture, as neither Islam nor Christianity encourages begging. This way, we can rid the city of this menace. To keep Abuja safe is our collective responsibility. Play your part. This message is from the FCT administration.
Nigerians, elections are here again. Let us shun violence. Let us play the game according to the rules. Do not be a thug. Say no to violence. Let's rise and defeat violence, crime, and sabotage against the peace of our nation. Nigeria is the only country we have. We must do everything to keep it united. We must avoid any act that promotes hate and disintegration. Say no to separatist movement, terrorism, fake news, hate speech, religious bigotry, and any act that tends to divide us as a nation. Watch out for strange gatherings and suspicious movements. Restrict access to sensitive documents and data, the disclosure of which may damage national security. Educate your staff and family, particularly on measures to safeguard information and report security breaches. Apply relevant legal security guidelines to protect yourself and your neighbors. Due to misinformation and wrong choices, some idle persons resort to vices in their greed to get rich quick. They resort to kidnapping, killings for rituals, and other heinous crimes. Avoid wrong use of the social media. Before you broadcast that false message, think twice. Ask whether it will promote peace or violence. For safety at home, still be security conscious. Educate your household on safety tips. Report all suspicious movements and persons to the security agencies nearest to you. Be a good citizen. Be patriotic. To pass security information, please call 0813-222-2105, 0915-339-1309, 0908-837-3514, or send a mail to dsspr@dss.gov.ng. This message is from the Department of State Services, DSS.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now another look at our top stories. INEC chairman says attacks on facilities must stop ahead of 2023 elections. And 2 female anti-thuggery operatives attacked in Gusau. Moving on to other news now. A few months after floods ravaged many Nigerian communities, leading to a huge loss of agricultural yield, many farmers who were impacted by the floods are struggling to find their feet. But concerned stakeholders are touring many locations affected by the disaster in a bid to create a seamless system for distributing farming equipment and utilize technology to communicate with farmers who were impacted by the flood, particularly in Adamawa State in the northeast and Kano State in the northwest. The report.
Nigeria experienced the worst floods in recent years in 2022. Many people have been rendered homeless and are still trying to get back to normal, while a large number of farm crops were destroyed, impacting on what would have been a good harvest. The federal government had promised to guarantee food security for the entire country by funding dry season farming and introducing intervention programs that would help farmers get back to their feet. This particular intervention will start off by interacting with stakeholders and providing guidance to farmers who have been impacted by flooding.
Our members and some of the development partners are still counting and identifying people that have lost their farmlands and indeed their animals. We don't have precise figure, but as I've said earlier, that the damage is too much, is too big for a common farmer to bear. And that is why we have called for His Excellency the President to quickly intervene.
The main objective is to engage with local farmers and reassure them that doing business with the Nigerian government will be seamless.
We do what is right by identifying farmers that were affected and making sure that whoever that is identified and enrolled into our platform has benefited from this program. And we also want to leverage on technology to make sure that we do what is right. Every member should be identified, he will be enrolled in our database, he will be given a smart card whereby he can go and redeem input allocated to him at ease and at the time that he wanted. Most importantly, we are calling for beneficiaries to utilize this input, produce massively, so that at the end of the day, we can have food guarantee in this country.
Going forward, the goal would be to provide agricultural equipment at the ward level to 4 million flood victims in Nigeria.
And victims of Thursday's tanker fire accident in Ibadan, Oyo State, which destroyed property worth millions of naira, have called on government at all levels to come to their aid. Residents of Akmata, a sleepy town in the outskirts of Ibadan metropolis, are still in shock after a fuel-laden tanker skidded off the road and burst into flames, destroying everything on its path. Many traders have stockpiled their shops with goods in anticipation of a bumper sale during the festive season when the incident occurred. Many of them are yet to come to terms with this surprising tragedy.
A good Nigeria, I shall know me, please. All my son, he don't born, I shall know me, the whole I said, all Nigeria people. Please look at me, look at me. Now yesterday I come from market, I go buy market for this Odu, please, I shall know me. Tori Allah, what you done now? All my money, all my work since 25 years, all it does spoil you.
My shop, foam, everything is lost yesterday. I beg you, make it. Tell governor, make it help us. I don't have anything now. Everything don't after finish yesterday. Please,
I was here yesterday when the tanker fell down. As the thing fell down, the fire just exploded. Everybody just ran away. And I just went to market to go and buy my goods, my Christmas goods. The goods didn't just got burned. It's more than 50 million. Let government, I didn't even know where to start. I don't know where to start. Let government help us. Yeah? Everything, even the one I borrowed, and all the people that give me money, that give me goods, everything.
We came. My name is Honorable Odusunday. We came in this morning to sympathize with our mother, brothers, fathers that lost their property yesterday in the course of the fire that happened yesterday. And this is not the time for anybody to campaign or to rejoice. This is a bad incident, and we are not happy with it. We came and we have seen a lot of things that happened, the property that lost, but thank God that no life was lost, and that's the most very important thing.
Car owners in Abuja believe that the idea of park and pay in the federal capital can improve revenue earnings of the government by creating more parking spaces to avoid congestion on the road. Kabir Lawal seeks the views of people on the impact of obtaining tickets before parking. His report.
Like every other country in the world, paid car parks give car owners a relaxed mind whenever they park their vehicles, especially for security reasons. In Abuja, however, car owners, especially the commercial vehicles, said it is a good idea but create traffic inconvenience within the parking premises.
When you park motor outside, you are causing more obstruction, and anything will happen, you are your own risk. It's not good. You have to come inside park and park so that your motor will be safe.
The car owners also added that if government can give more priority to the park, it will go a long way to attract more revenue.
Not good. That one is causing accident and the hold up everywhere, and the stealing of battery and the car, which is no good about that one. They should come inside the car park so that their motor will be safe.
Well, they should work on the parks, and anyone that want to park or want to use should pay. You should pay and let them continue to be, taxing other people in order to make the place more safe and secure for citizens.
Ticket sellers at the park added that they sell more than 200 tickets or more on daily basis, enabling the park management to take care of the park.
Call on the federal government to create more places like this one, and it will even enable to create some revenue to the federal government. It will help to develop the country.
Parking outside is not the best. There's someone who will come from nowhere, hit your car, and you will not see the person. So it's better to park inside for your safety.
Although the idea of park and pay had wide acceptance, many find it difficult to pay and park. Kabir Lawal, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, the House of Representatives Committee on Customs and Excise is to engage experts in forensic audit to look into the payment receipts and all activities of the IT service provider to the Nigeria Customs Service. The chairman of the committee, Leke Bajide, who made this known during the investigative hearing in Abuja, said the decision is to ascertain actual revenue lost to government and other stakeholders. The report.
This investigative hearing is a follow-up on the decision of the House to ensure compliance with service-level agreements with an IT service provider, the Federal Ministry of Finance and the Nigerian Customs Service. According to the chairman of the committee, the federal government and Nigerians have suffered various degrees of losses from downtime, a fault adjudged to be from the consultant. He said that government agencies are supposed to refund payments made for services they did not offer.
Sometimes when you release from customs system, you cannot exit. The system will collapse again. So, and this has been on, and we want to see the service level agreement, how you are paying them, whether you have taken into account all this downtime.
Earlier, Director, Home Finance, Ali Mohammed, who represented the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, noted that the contract had been in place since 2006 to date. He claimed that the mandate on ease of doing business and to fast-track clearing process of cargoes in ports had not been realized from the consultant, as the Nigerian Customs will take over the services by the end of 2022.
After a series of delays that we have experienced, now the handing over date through the instrument of the steering committee was 31st December 2022, meaning the customs will take over the sort of activities that we have now delegated to West Ponten, based on the contract they have signed.
On his part, the representative of Nigerian Customs Service, Kingsley Igu, corroborated the downtime and poor service rendered by the IT service provider, which has affected considerable amount of revenue generation to the government.
We want to let the Honorable House know that even 3 days ago, we had a meeting in the Federal Ministry of Finance about this downtime, which I actually brought up, that the downtime is disturbing services.
In his response, the managing director of the firm, Okpeyemi Babalola, while agreeing to the issue of downtime, maintained that there are site engineers always on ground to address such issues at any point, with a promise to improve on its service delivery.
When these issues are happening, it may be reported as a server failure or as a network failure, depending on who is reporting it or who is bringing it up. While we recognize those and while we recognize the complaints, we believe that most of those, if not all of those issues, end up being resolved and being worked out as quickly as possible.
For the committee, it would require some vital information from other relevant agencies, especially the Central Bank of Nigeria, to appear before it next week to provide some details regarding the investigation. The committee is expected to submit its report in 4 weeks.
And still on judicial matters, the Joint National Assembly Committees on Niger Delta have screened Loretta Onochie as chairman of the Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC board. Onochie, a special assistant on social media to President Muhammadu Buhari, was screened by the joint committees alongside 13 others for NDDC board roles. The report.
In his opening remarks, Vice Chairman of the Senate Committee on Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Amos Bulus, said the need for the board of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to be constituted is long overdue, noting that the absence of a governing board for the interventionist agency had hampered its performance in recent time. Senator Bulus urged the nominees, if confirmed, to ensure that the purpose for which the NDDC was established is ultimately achieved.
What I'm trying to say is that the Niger Delta Commission has been without a constituted board for quite some time. And today we are thanking Mr. President for being magnanimous enough to send some nominees. And why we are here today is to screen those nominees that are sent down to this place by Mr. President.
Some NDDC committee members had some reservations against the nomination of Loretta Onochie. She is said to come from a non-oil producing community in her Delta state of origin. This, they noted, contravenes the NDDC Act, a situation they noted does not permit to chair the commission.
I would like to know your local government in Delta State and your community. And then a follow-up question so I can rest, so that a few of my colleagues may want to say, whether to the best of your knowledge, your community, the community you come from.
But another committee member, Bamidele Okpeyemi, recalled that the former NDDC chairman, Onyema Ugochukwu, is from Abia State, saying that Onoche is qualified to head the commission's board.
When we had a reason to turn down the presidential nomination of this same nominee in the Senate, it was because the position for which he was nominated was the position of an umpire, electoral umpire.
We have appointed the chairman from our state before that is not from the local government where they produce oil, Chief Onyema Ugochukwu. And nobody can tell us to reject this woman.
The chairman nominee, Loretta Onoche, assured the joint session of her competence.
Good morning once again. I'll stand on the already established protocol. My name is Loretta Onoche. I am from Delta State. And I'm a mother of 2 adult bankers in the United Kingdom.
President Buhari had written to the Senate requesting the upper chamber to confirm the appointment of the chairman and members of the NDDC board in accordance with the provisions of the Niger Delta Development Commission Establishment Act.
Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has granted an order stopping the National Assembly from screening and confirming the nominated chairman and managing director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, Loretta Onoche and Samuel Ogbuku. It urged that all actions on the matter be suspended pending the determination of the suit filed by Edward Okpokpo, Esquire, Victor Wood, and Edward Omagbemi on behalf of the Shekiri ethnic nationality, challenging the nomination of the duo as chairman and MD of the NDDC board on Monday, December 12th. Right now, let's join Chiamaka Umafo for business news.
Some point-of-sale operators across the country under the auspices of the Association of Mobile Money and Bank Agents of Nigeria have appealed to the president to prevail on the Central Bank of Nigeria to review the current threshold for daily cash maximum withdrawal upward. The POS operators, in a petition dated 16 December 2022, called for the suspension of the policy to save 1.4 million bank agents from losing their means of livelihood. National President of AMBAN, Victor Olojo, who addressed journalists in Abuja on Friday, said over 1.4 million people will lose their jobs if the policy is not suspended or reviewed upward. The group specifically requested an upward review of the maximum withdrawal limit to 500,000 naira weekly for individuals and 3 million naira for corporate organizations. The new policy by the CBN fixed weekly cash withdrawals for individuals at 100,000 naira and corporate bodies at 500,000 naira weekly. The food and beverage companies in Nigeria have been hard hit by the recent implementation of the 10 naira per litre sugar tax, foreign exchange scarcity and high energy prices. The food, beverage and tobacco subsector of the manufacturing sector shrank in the third quarter of this year for the first time in 27 months, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. The high inflation in Africa's biggest economy weakened demand in the subsector, one of the top 3 contributors to manufacturing GDP. The subsector contracted by 4.05% in the third quarter of 2022, compared to a growth rate of 5.11% in the previous quarter. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Thank you for that business update, Chiamaka. And now a look at the foreign scene, where at least 5 traditional leaders of Bong County have been sentenced to 6-month imprisonment by the Supreme Court of Liberia for recently obstructing the function of the 9th Judicial Circuit Courts in Bong County. Months back, traditional leaders were reported to have invaded the court's facility and obstructed normal business of that honorable court. On that basis, a contempt charge was issued against them. The Supreme Court has the inherent authority to punish contempt acts interfering with the independence and integrity of the court, and the inherent constitutional duty to protect the sanity and dignity of the judiciary, especially the courts and its officers. Handing down the judgment on the matter, the court noted that contempt proceedings by the Supreme Court are independent and exclusive of any other branch of government or institution, and of course are not subject to any investigations conducted by the other branches of government. Meanwhile, Senegal authorities detained 2 opposition members of parliament for physically assaulting a pregnant colleague during a budget debate earlier this month. A violent brawl broke out in the National Assembly on December 1st when Masata Samb slapped Amy Ndiaye Nibi of the ruling Benno Biokia coalition after she scoffed while he was addressing the room. Nibi, who is pregnant, threw a chair back at Samb before another opposition member of parliament, Mamadou Niang, kicked her in the stomach after she was pushed to the ground. Both Samb and Niang had been detained and charged with voluntarily causing hurt. They will appear in court on Monday, and their detention violated their right to parliamentary immunity. Now for a quick look at sports. FIFA will stage an expanded Club World Cup featuring 32 men's teams from June 2025, says its president Gianni Infantino. Football's world governing body also hopes to introduce a women's version, with both held every 4 years. While speaking after a FIFA Council meeting in Qatar on Friday and before this weekend's final 2 games of this year's World Cup, the first to be held in the Middle East. Gianni Infantino also announced that the 19th edition of the Club World Cup, which runs from 1st to 11th February 2023, will be hosted by Morocco. The tournament was previously held in Morocco in 2013 and 14 and has since been hosted by Japan, United Arab Emirates and Qatar. Spanish World Cup winner Sergio Busquets has announced his retirement from international football. The 34-year-old midfielder, who won the 2010 World Cup and 2012 European Championship, was captain of the side knocked out in the last 16 of this year's championship. Busquets is the last of a revered Barcelona Spanish midfield trio alongside Andres Iniesta and Xavi to announce his retirement from international football. The Barcelona player made his Spain debut on 1st April 2009 in a World Cup qualifier against Turkey and went on to feature at 4 World Cups and 3 European Championships. His entire playing career has been spent with Barcelona, for whom he has played nearly 700 times, winning multiple trophies including 8 La Liga titles and the Champions League on 3 occasions. And now for more sports news, let's join Adeniji Ajishafe.
FIFA President Gianni Infantino says the World Football Governing Body will launch a new 32-team FIFA Club World Cup which will start in 2025. Infantino said this at a press conference on Friday with a number of decisions following a FIFA Council meeting, which includes plans to change the 2026 World Cup group stage format and the launch of a new friendly World Series tournament to take place in even years involving 4 teams, each selected from 4 different confederations. FIFA have long wanted to expand the Club World Cup to create the domestic competition. The new FIFA Club World Cup concept was initially meant to start in China in 2021 with 24 teams, but was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The current format features 7 teams comprising of winners of each continent, including champions of the host nation. Premier League side Chelsea are the current holders after beating Brazilian club Palmeiras in February. A new Men's Club World Cup will also be instituted, with no date yet. Morocco has been chosen as host of 2023 Club World Cup. And still on football, Morocco has filed an official complaint to FIFA over their semi-final defeat to France. The Royal Football Federation of Morocco, FRMF, lodged the complaint over the referee performance of Cesar Ramos for the yellow card to Sofiane Boufal for a foul on Theo Hernandez when many thought Morocco would have got a penalty. The Atlas Lions lost 2-0 to France following goals by Hernandez and Randa Kolo Muani on Wednesday, ending their brilliant run to the semi-finals at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. That's Sport News. I am Adeniyi Ajishafe.
And that wraps up Trust TV News Hour for tonight. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.